How's it going, boys? Johnny Superb Man here, and it's time for another NHL 16 shootout commentary. And today, I want to talk about some potential dark horse teams for next year's regular season. We're not going to talk about the draft, we're not going to talk about free agency. A lot of stuff has happened, and yes, we could talk forever about that. But I want to get into next year's NHL season and just give some predictions. And if you guys have anything to say as well, just go nuts in the comment section. But I got three teams here: the Montreal Canadiens, the New Jersey Devils, and the Calgary Flames. Three teams that all did not make the playoffs last year, but I think have a great shot of making the playoffs this upcoming season, alright? So first we'll start off with the Montreal Canadiens, and I don't think this is too much of a surprise for anybody. 2 years ago, they were in the Eastern Conference Final. Last year, I mean, people were talking about them being the Stanley Cup favorite after the first 12 games of the season. Remember when Carey Price was still healthy? The Montreal Canadiens were like 10-2 in the first 12 games, and then the 18-wheeler fell off the cliff. Without Carey Price, we saw what the Montreal Canadiens were made of. So they made some changes this offseason. Lars Eller has been moved out. Shaw wasn't the direct replacement, but the trade to Washington and then trade to Chicago, right? So Eller out, Shaw in, and then the big one, PK Subban out, and Shea Weber in. So you got Shaw for Eller, you got Weber for Subban. Carey Price, I'm hoping, comes back and plays a full year. I mean, even though he plays for the Canadiens, I mean, I love seeing a talent like that. No way he should be injured. So I'm hoping that he comes back and has a full year. And with that new lineup, I don't know, man, we might be able to see them make a splash. I love what they have up front. Pacioretty, Galchenyuk, Gallagher, and Shaw now. Those two guys, Gallagher and Shaw, working in the dirty areas. My God. But the question mark comes from their back end. Are you guys going to be pairing Andrei Markov with Shea Weber? I've already heard some Montreal Canadiens fans saying that Markov has got to get the hell out of here. Well, he's the lefty, Weber's a righty. After those two, I mean, who else are you going to use, right? So Carey Price has really got to get back. He's got to have the kind of season he was having last year. Their forwards got to step up, and Shea Weber has got to be the real deal, exactly what they need. But the question I want to put to Montreal Canadiens fans, what do you guys do with Plekanec and Desharnais? You need a second-line center. Do you keep one of these guys? Do you keep both of them? Do you try to move them? Are there more trades in the works of the Montreal Canadiens? I want to know. But based on this, I do think the Montreal Canadiens could be a dark horse team. One of those teams that missed the playoffs last year, but make the playoffs this year, okay? Give me, guys, your opinions on that. Next up, we got the New Jersey Devils. Now, when I talked about the Taylor Hall trade to the New Jersey Devils, you know, I was saying things like, I don't think Taylor Hall's going to want to play there. He's been traded from one rebuilding team to another, but I missed a very strong piece of information, or very valuable piece of information, and that is Adam Henrique and Taylor Hall used to play for each other on the Windsor Spitfires. So if he's going to a team where he's got a buddy there, maybe he does want to play, and that's exactly what the New Jersey Devils need. So if they're going to have that kind of season where they make it back into the playoffs, first thing that needs to happen is Corey Schneider needs to have another great year. This guy's put up some fantastic numbers with the New Jersey Devils. The problem is the Devils don't score goals. The second thing, they need to make goals happen, simply put. The Devils were the worst offensive team in the NHL this year. So enter Taylor Hall, right? And I don't know what the history was with Hall and Henrique on the Windsor Spitfires, but I read that they played together and they played well together. Well enough to have Taylor Hall drafted first overall in the 2010 NHL entry draft, right? So the Devils, they need to have these two guys drive the Devils offense all year round. They can't afford an injury. They can't afford like a 15-game run where these guys get suspended or, like I said, injured. They really need to lean on these guys for offense. And when you look at their offensive core, I mean, Taylor Hall, Adam Henrique, Kyle Palmieri, he can score. Travis Zajac down the middle. Devontae Smith-Pelly. I mean, that's all right looking, you know? And also Pavel Zacha might get the chance to play this year. But a question mark that I have for the New Jersey Devils, and maybe the fans can answer this, you know, what are you guys going to do with your defensive core? Your defensive core kind of looked weak even with Adam Larson. And now without him, I mean, the top four from my view are, Andy Green, Ben Lovejoy, John Moore, and Damon Severson. I mean, now if you got Corey Schneider back there playing like he's always played and stays healthy the entire year, then maybe that can work out. So I think the New Jersey Devils, not as obvious as the Montreal Canadiens, But that combo of Henrique and Taylor Hall, if Corey Schneider stays healthy, play great defensively, keep the puck out of the net, and score more goals than they did this year, they might be able to make it into the NHL playoffs, all right? So there's two Eastern Conference teams. The last team I'd like to talk about, let's jump to the Western Conference, the Calgary Flames. Now, this was a very disappointing year for the Flames, not making the playoffs after advancing to the second round the year before. Remember that? They got whooped by the Anaheim Ducks, but still, the second round, I mean, that's fantastic, especially how young their team is. Now, the good news for the Calgary Flames is that they finally picked up a goaltender that won't lose them games. I mean, last year they just couldn't get any goaltending. This year, they're going to have Brian Elliott, so we'll see how he plays for the Flames. He's not going to be playing on front of the St. Louis Blues team, right? He's going to be playing on front of the Calgary Flames team. So we'll see how his stats get affected by that. But I love the Calgary Flames roster. I mean, I've said this in the past, but they have a beautiful mix of veteran talent with young players. Guys like Sean Monahan, Johnny Gaudreau, Sam Bennett, Hunter Shinkaruk, Dougie Hamilton. These guys are the future of the Calgary Flames. But for right now, they have veteran help in the form of, Mark Giordano, TJ Brody. They just picked up Troy Brouwer, and now Brian Elliott as well. I look to see the Calgary Flames to have a bounce back year, a big bounce back year. And the third point, something that a Central Division team in the West wouldn't be able to take advantage of. Sorry, Winnipeg Jets fans. I know you got Line A. I still think it's a tough year in that tough Central Division. But the Calgary Flames, they're in the Pacific Division. They can be competitive, but they have to destroy teams like Arizona, Vancouver, and Edmonton. We saw what the San Jose Sharks did, the Anaheim Ducks, the LA Kings, right? They made it back. So these three teams are going to be tough, but those other three teams, the Coyotes, the Canucks, and the Oilers, you guys have got to beat them. Get 2 points all the time that you can. You're going to have plenty of matchups. And I think if they do that, they can make it back into the playoffs as a wildcard team or maybe the third team in the Pacific Division. You never know. All right, boys, so that's the way I see it. There was a handful of other teams that I saw. It was hard to not mention them. I wanted to mention my Toronto Maple Leafs, even though I think we'll have a fantastic first 30 games of the season, as usually all rookie teams do. By the end of the 82-game mark, we'll probably be a bottom 10, bottom 5 team, somewhere in there, right? But these three teams, I really see them as being playoff teams next year if everything goes according to plan. So what do you guys think? Do you guys agree with me? Do you think that there's any other dark horse teams out there that I didn't mention? Go nuts in the comments section. Have fun. Don't argue with each other too much. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Be sure to check out our website, 2bcsports.com, where the hockey talk continues. Find myself and others in the live interactive chat, or dive into the active forums to talk about sports and gaming. You can also find us on Twitch, where the live streams come to life. Rock on!